You know when a video game just gets you and it's all you can think about for weeks on end as you're playing through it, and even when you're not playing through it? Well, that's how I feel about the following video games, maybe with the exception of a few. I'm just looking at them more objectively for the piece of art that they actually are. This video is about the best games of the decade, and it's my opinion. I'm not going off Metacritic, I'm not going off what other reviewers have said. I'm going to talk about games that I've really enjoyed, and hopefully you guys can watch it till the end and share some of your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's go! So way back in 2010, Mass Effect 2 was an Xbox 360 exclusive, and it was my first introduction to a Mass Effect game, and it was one of the main reasons for purchasing an Xbox 360. Back then, aside from Halo, I was absolutely hooked. I loved how expansive and huge the game was, being able to take your character Shepard on your awesome ship with your awesome crew that you choose and just fly from planet to planet. And I just loved, there were some planets that really felt cyberpunk-esque, and I just fell in love predominantly with the aesthetics of the game. I didn't necessarily think that the script or the voice acting was on point, but for me, I could overlook Mass Effect 2's flaws because I was immersed in its world. And that world was amplified, like I said, by just some stunning locations. The NPCs really reminded me of some of the more eccentric characters from Star Wars games of days gone. And I absolutely grinded that game until there was pretty much nothing left to grind. So I really enjoyed it, and unfortunately Mass Effect's been very hit and miss for me since Mass Effect 2, but that will always be one that I go back to, and I think that's a great way to start this video actually. I'm hoping Mass Effect makes a little bit of a comeback and oversteps just a bit of a disaster of what Andromeda became on release. Mass Effect 2, guys, what a game to start us off in such an amazing decade of video games overall. Next up then is a game that was closely released after Mass Effect 2, and that was Red Dead Redemption. Now I'm tailoring this slightly, as I said, it's my opinion. I'm going to go Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. I thought Red Dead Redemption was a great piece of art, like I said. It was expansive, it was Rockstar, it was just immense for the time, and nobody was doing Wild Wild West. So it came out and it just gripped a lot of people, and for me, I was gripped, but not as long as I was gripped on, say, Mass Effect 2. But when Undead Nightmare came out, zombies in the Wild West, in an open world, I am hooked. All of a sudden, when light turned to dark, it became even more dangerous because there was a flood of more zombies, and boy could they move. And it was just a ton of fun, like riding my horse, flying past zombies. It was unexpected. It was a recipe that I would have never have asked for at the turn of the century. I know, zombies in a Wild Wild West setting, but it came out and it surprised everybody. So I think that surprise element and that extra pace that the zombies added in Undead Nightmare for me got me laughing, it got me smiling, it got me hooked, and it also brought me back to the game, the base game of Red Dead Redemption, and that's a pretty impressive thing to do. So following on from that then, as this is in no particular order, I'm not giving you anything to kind of predict here, I'm going to go Red Dead Redemption 2, although I did start to find it a little bit disappointing at Chapter 4. Now I'm talking about Red Dead Redemption 2 purely because I think that it, objectively, regardless of what I think, it is a good game. It is a remarkable game. It was a well-hyped game, and I think it did live up to the hype. I think maybe reviewers were a little bit quick off the mark to review it, as it started to show some flaws as we went on. But that game is fantastic. It has everything, doesn't it? It has the world, it has the characters, it has great script writing, it has a very charming and embracing protagonist. I like all the little customizations that you can do. I like that you can move your camp from place to place. I like the fishing. You know, I really do think that you've got to kind of take Red Dead Redemption 2 and kick away its flaws. For me personally, it's a piece of art. And I think this, and I'm mentioning it in this list because it is a worthy sequel to Red Dead Redemption, and we waited long, and Rockstar have this amazing, like nobody knows what goes on at Rockstar. They're never at any expos, they never show any demo, they never do the alpha beta testing crap with the public. You know, it really is just complete lockdown, and I respect that. I really respect that. And so I'm mentioning it. It is a phenomenal game of this decade. It wouldn't have been the same without it. Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay, next up then is a game that rocked the end of 2011, Skyrim. Back when Bethesda were not bothered about microtransactions, they were not lying to the community like they did in Fallout 76, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, was and still is a phenomenal experience. And for those people that aren't necessarily familiar with role-playing games, I think that something like Skyrim is very user-friendly just to be able to jump into, let the tutorial guide you, and just kind of get on with things really. I loved how easy to navigate the menu systems were, which for me in an RPG is absolutely crucial to the fluidity of the gameplay. I liked the setting. I loved the intro when you're on the little cart going down and you're a prisoner, and the way you get to pick your character at the beginning, and whether, you know, like your race, all of your different attributes, the way that kind of comes about with the interaction from the prison guard is seamless. I loved it. Wherever you can see, you can go. I remember that as a selling point of Skyrim. And I remember I was in the States at the time, queuing at GameStop, like watching the queue, or I was in the car watching the queue all the way down. And then like they'd shout you up. So like at like 1 minute to midnight, we got out and just kind of went in for that. So I've got good memories of even purchasing that game, let alone playing it. And there's a bit of a running joke that it has been released on so many different consoles since. But in fairness, I think that's a testament to just how much Skyrim is loved, and also loved by the modding community. And obviously we have the lovely Shirley Curry. If you're not familiar with Shirley Curry, she is a PC gamer in her 80s that just grinds Skyrim here on YouTube, and she's gonna be in Elder Scrolls 6. Next up then is God of War, the most recent release. God of War. Wow, 2018 was a great year. The emotion between Atreus and Kratos, like that script and that relationship and that evolution is apparent from minute one. I didn't expect that. I did not expect that. I was overcome with emotion within the first 15 minutes of that game, with Kratos kind of burning his wife and obviously Atreus' mother. Like, you just knew from the first, if we just take the first 15 minutes of God of War, maybe 20, it's just so apparent that it's an art. And with that comes an amazing storyline, graphics, character interaction, boss fights, the different environments and worlds that you go to, whether you're on land, whether you're on sea. I mean, wow. That could potentially be the game of the decade. I'm just talking about the best games of the decade, but God of War is an absolute art form. So next up then is The Last of Us, released on a PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4, and very similar to God of War. That interaction between Ellie and Joel was remarkable to watch. It wasn't as powerful, I don't think, in those initial stages, but it certainly grew to become just as powerful as Kratos and Atreus. And I loved the horror setting, the clickers, those stealth moments. Sometimes you'd be in a situation where you needed to kind of get through a bunch of clickers and there was barely anything around you to distract them with, so there's a little bit of decision making and problem solving involved. Graphically, it was stunning. It was emotional again from the very first instances in the game when, Joel loses his daughter, and it's just remarkable. I think Rockstar and I think Naughty Dog are some of the finest storytellers in our gaming world. And to say that I'm excited for The Last of Us 2 is an understatement. So we still have a lot to look forward to from the world of The Last of Us. And I loved as well, let's just mention the DLC, which was an add-on, which was a free add-on for the PlayStation 4 release. That gave some backstory. That was actually the prequel to Ellie's story leading up to The Last of Us. So, you know, it kind of fleshed out that world even more. And it's just a story of bravery, love, compassion, fear, revenge. It just has everything. Okay, let's go for some Switch titles now. I'm going to curveball it up here. Breath of the Wild. A Nintendo Switch launch back in 2017, and certainly I think the most ambitious Legend of Zelda game Nintendo have ever released. It took, I think it just felt really different because it added so many different things, like being able to cook. You know, if you took Link into a cold area and you didn't have the correct clothing on, his health would suffer. You know, they got rid of the hearts and replaced it with food. I thought that was really cool, and it's just so freaking huge. Like, it is so huge. I still haven't completed it. I go back to it every now and again, and I'm blown away every time I go back to it. There were some really nice elements of previous Zelda games, like, you know, being able to catch the horses, kind of like took you right back to the Epona stage in Ocarina of Time. All the kind of classic dungeons were there. You've got the forest-esque theme, ice themes, fire themes, and it's just like, I remember leading up to when the Switch came out, and there was this rumour that started to circulate that actually Breath of the Wild was going to be delayed at the last minute, and I was heartbroken. And very quickly that rumour was turned around. I was like, oh, it is going to be a release title. Panic over, and thank goodness it was, because the Switch didn't have much for its release. So I think Breath of the Wild is quite simply a console seller. If you never play another Switch game, play Breath of the Wild. Let's talk about Super Mario Odyssey then. So I've kind of been not famed, but known to say that I haven't really liked 3D Sonic games. My dog's outside chewing, but Super Mario 64 started to grow on me the older I got. Mario Odyssey really started, like, at first I was like, no, and then I played it and I was hooked. The transition from 2D to 3D, you know, you've got that nostalgia there for the likes of me, who's in my 30s. The different worlds, you putting on the hats, just adding that was something brand new to Mario, you know, the hat. God, honestly, it's so much fun. Like, you go through it and you're like, oh, a Goomba, you know, and then there's like new enemies as well. So it's kind of like a nice meeting of old meets new. I've really enjoyed playing it with my nephews. Every time Ruben comes over, he's like, Auntie Gemma, can we play Super Mario? Of course we can, mate. And yeah, and I know he means Odyssey as well. So I think that it's a strong title. It's a strong title. And it's like, for me, I think Breath of the Wild pipped Super Mario Odyssey in the Nintendo Switch lineup, but still it's a beautiful game, beautiful colour palette, beautiful worlds, beautiful characters, and it just oozes charm. It's a must. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this next game, but Grand Theft Auto 5, the highest grossing video game of all time. Wow, it's still going strong today, particularly around the online features. Now, I'm primarily talking about this from a campaign side. I played about an hour of the online stuff. It's not for me. So I can't talk with heart about the online stuff in GTA 5, but this was the first Grand Theft Auto that gave you the ability to change between characters. Not just that, but very different characters in personalities, in social backgrounds. I loved the way that was done. When you started to kind of change your character, the camera would go out, it would zoom to the map and go down to see like Trevor, and he'd just be getting out of some fight or waking up from a drunken sleep off or something. And it was that was nice. That was really well done. The environments of kind of like the north part of the map being a little bit more barren and you've got your mountains and your log cabins coming right down onto like your Venice Beach kind of stuff. It's Grand Theft Auto and it shows a lot of heart, and it ruffled some feathers as well. Let's not kind of, all the kind of Mardy right wing, too much violence, don't let your kids play it. It's a great game and I'm proud it's still going strong, and I'm proud that it's generated so much revenue for the gaming community and solidified this amazing industry in the leading, gaming is the leading industry in the whole world, more than the movies, more than Hollywood. So I think we owe a lot of that to GTA 5 and I'm looking forward to GTA 6. So there we go. I'm sure I could go on and on and on, and I'm absolutely certain you guys have a different opinion, or maybe you share the same opinion. That's absolutely fine. It's been a great decade, and we're on the brink, we're on the cusp of the next generation, and I am excited to see what it all brings. So if you're new here and you want to stay tuned into some heartfelt gaming content, please hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and let's share this video. But I'm going to leave it there. My name is Gemma. Have a beautiful day. Take care. See you soon.